So after the 2007 season, which you considered to be a failure, you guys came back in 2008 looking a lot better. Everyone's saying, okay, this is the year for Florida. They're better than they were the year before. But before we get to the actual games themselves, take us through the off season. What was it like to be in the weight room with Mickey Marotti and Tim Tebow and guys like Spikes who were pushing everyone else?
It was tough. It was very tough. And it definitely just wasn't Spikes and Tebow. You had a vast majority of leaders, from myself to those two to Percy to a couple D linemen, the Pouncey twins, guys like that, just taking over the team. But it was a tough off season just because of the season we had before. That was one of the off season where Coach Marotti took it upon himself just to try to kill us each day. From morning workouts to whatever we did, we were reminded of the season we had the year before, and that's what I think was a direct response of when we touched the field. Day one that year, we played Hawaii. We just were ready to rip somebody's head off because of all the crap we had been through all off season.
Well, what did you guys do?
I mean, different workouts. Coach Marotti has a great way of coming up with different workouts to get you motivated and to push you to the limit, to exhaustion, and he did a great job of that all off season. From just workouts, stadium, to just different things to competing and getting guys motivated. He's a master at that, and he did a great job that year leading to that season.
Well, what kind of stuff did he do? Can you give us some examples?
One thing, tonight, I don't want to give too many of his secrets, but one thing was he was big on that year. Like I said, was stadiums. We ran a number of different stadiums. But one thing throughout the stadium workouts we would do is, we would touch every stadium in the swamp, and everyone knows how big the swamp is and how many steps are in that place. So imagine running that whole place, until he said stop. And then, we had different workouts after that, after running those, stairs that he would, I think that year Marino had so many rushing yards, so we would do different things of the number of rushing yards and stuff he had. So, like I said, whatever he came up with those days of those workouts, that's what we have to do. And like I said, all it did was prepare you and, get you ready for that season because, like I said, that youth going through those adverse situations in those workouts and pushing you to the limit of exhaustion and actually coming to a situation where you're like, man, do I really want to do this and really want to deal with this? That gets you prepared for that season. So when tough things are happening throughout games and situations throughout the game, you're prepared for them and you know how to handle them.
Well, Knowshon Marino rushed for 188 yards the year before, and Georgia put up 42 points. So, I mean, did Marotti make specific punishments based on those numbers?
Yeah, like the 188, we have to do like a certain, like 188 push-ups, 188, something else, just up downs or whatever he could come up with, So, like I said, it was just motivation, man, and it was a great way of motivating guys, great athletes, and getting great athletes to work and really hone into what they want to do and prepare for that season.
So, is it fair to say that Mickey Marotti was a very creative motivator?
Oh, definitely. We always called him, in our eyes as players, it was Coach Meyer, Coach Strong, and Mickey Marotti. They were the three, biggest faces of, for as coaches and guys we, look to for his advice and guys we, I hold on to every word because, they're just so experienced and so, masterful at their crafts and things they, tried to go about each day. So, they did a great job of everything we tried to do each day.
Well, after your extremely grueling offseason, you guys got back to football, actually playing games against Hawaii to start the 2008 season. You outscored Hawaii by yourself, didn't you? First off, you had a rushing touchdown to start off the season. And looking back, with everything that the 2008 team accomplished, how cool is it that you scored the first touchdown of the season?
Yeah, it's very cool. It's very, to think about it now, it's crazy that happened that way. But and to think back on it, we should have kept that package in. It was actually a wishbone package we had put in during the spring that worked out pretty well. But Tebow started having his success with shooting the ball on the goal line, so we definitely had to go back to that. But, it's definitely something that I'm proud of.
All right, so that's 7. Later in the game, Hawaii punts to you. Take us through the play.
I can remember vividly that, it wasn't a long punt, so the ball was bouncing a little bit, so I just tried to field it, and I remember making a cut to the right. Norris made a great block, him being a freshman. Of all people, I was thinking, don't make a block in the back, but he made a great block, and, sprung me to the sideline, and after making the guy miss, just carried it on up the sideline, and it was a great play. It was great for the momentum of the game, and it was great to start off the season and get everyone excited about what was to come of that season.
And it counted.
Yeah, definitely. So that was even more exciting. It was one that you could put in the record books and check it off as a return that finally counts in my favor.
Well, I mean, the final score: Brandon James 14, Hawaii 10. So I mean, but that just shows how little trouble you guys had with Hawaii. Well, after Hawaii, you guys got to play Miami. Big rivalry game. You guys haven't played before that regularly since the 1980s. You guys played a couple times in bowl games. You had a home-and-home earlier in the decade. But how much did it mean to you to be playing in this rivalry?
It was one of the biggest moments of me, myself, and a lot of, I can speak for a lot of guys, my classmates that I went to school with also. It was one of our bigger moments in school, being in college. A lot of us, pretty much all the guys I went to school with were Miami fans, reverting to back in, Sean Taylor days and Ed Reed and all those guys that were winning. You weren't a college football fan if you were watching those guys and, just in awe of what they were doing. So, we were fans. So, to now being able to compete against these guys, and then, you're looking at the recruiting days. So a lot of these guys, through recruiting, competing against in high school. I had friends on that team, guys that were on my team had guys that they went to high school with. So it's a lot of rivalry and a lot of family within that, rivalry. So, to now, getting back to play them, it was exciting, and it was game day, so it was giving the press and the amount of hype it deserved. So leading into that game, it felt like a big game.
Well, in that game, the Gators got back several players that were missing in the previous game against Hawaii, such as Aaron Hernandez, Percy Harvin, and Brandon Spikes. The reasons that they missed the previous game weren't very clear at the time, and now there's been a lot of rumors circulating that there was a failed drug test. They weren't actually injured. Do you know what happened?
Only thing I know is happened is what Coach Myers said. I know leading up into those games, guys had injuries. They had different things they're dealing with that were nagging, and Coach Myers coming to that game felt like it was right to hold him out and not let him play with those different injuries and different things that are happening, and that's what happened. So that's all I can go by is what he said and what we were told. Being in this situation at the time, like I said, all those guys, whatever was said for his injuries and things that they were dealing with, they actually had. So, that wasn't false at all.
Did it seem to you that they were actually injured?
Yes. Like I said before, they had injuries, but, sitting here, do I think there were injuries that, when they couldn't play? I'm not sure. I'm not in their body, so I can't, I don't have the same pain tolerance as them, so I can't really judge, how they were really feeling. But, like I said, they were going through different injuries at the time, and each one of them in their own right. So it's tough to say if they could play or not. But like I said, Coach Meyer made the decision they weren't going to play, and we had to go with it, and win those 2 games. When they came back, we were excited and just ready for our brothers to get back on the field and see them make plays.
Well, then to follow up on that, what do you make of the reports that of the different reasons why they weren't playing, such as the failed drug test? Why do you think that other people would make some stuff like that up?
It's hard to say. I think media is media for a reason. You guys get, not you guys, but, media as a whole get paid to do their job. That's what they get paid to do, write and speculate and start different rumors. And, that's what I think was happening. I don't know how much truth, where they got the information from. But, like I said, that's what they get paid to do. So they were just doing their job. I don't know what started what they were saying.
Well, back to football itself. Florida scored early, 7-0 Gators. And after that, it just turned sluggish. It just got really ugly, at least from the viewer's perspective. In the trenches, it was all out warfare. But the game just ground down into a very, very sluggish type of game. But late in the first half, it was 7-3, and you're back waiting to get the punt. And well, what happened next?
It was a good punt, and I did it from there on. Just make a play. I was, all throughout that game, I had some offensive, plays got my number called that week. So I tried to make some plays throughout the game and got my hands on the ball that way. But then, for the return game, I was just trying to leave my mark all throughout that game, and they did a good job coming up with a scheme and trying to keep away from me that week. But the few times I got my hands on the ball, I just tried to leave my mark in that play. I just made a good play. Didn't get it all the way to the house like I wanted to, but it set us up nice for the score that came after that.
All right, before that, Jeff Demps blocked a punt for a safety. Now you're back watching, ready to get the punt, and all of a sudden you see all these guys running backwards, away from you to pick up the ball. Florida didn't recover. It went for a safety, but how big of a play do you think that turned out to be?
It was a huge play. It was momentum we needed. At the time, sitting back, and I remember Coach Meyer had called the block. So, anytime we call for the block, you expect for it to get blocked because we're always, right there, a couple inches away, a couple steps away. But, it was momentum we needed, and it got the swamp blocking, and it carried us throughout the game.
Florida took another 13 minutes or so to get really going. But then Tebow hit a big pass to Hernandez, and then Tebow hit Carl Moore for a big play. Right after that, Florida set up with a big 3rd and goal, and Tebow pitches it to Harvin for the touchdown. And you're watching that play, and what's it feel like to finally get something going on offense after being so sluggish for most of the game?
But being a part of it, you're just trying to make a play. I remember when the play was called, I remember thinking like it's going to be a touchdown long as I get my block because I was the guy on the edge. So. Once I, seen Percy receive the ball and him get on the edge, he was going to score. So it was exciting. Like I said, any play we made throughout that game was good for momentum and us playing in the swamp. And, it's tough for any team to come in there and deal with, those situations. So, any play we made, it got us rocking and got, the momentum swung back on our side. So it was good for our team.
Florida scored another touchdown after that to make it 23-3. And then late in the game, Florida's getting down the field, clock's running out. And Coach Meyer sends on the field goal unit to add in to the score to make it 26-3. Kick is good. And after the game, Randy Shannon, Miami's coach, well, he pretty much avoided Coach Meyer. Said it was unsportsmanlike. What'd you make of that? Do you think it's unsportsmanlike, or do you think that it's just part of the game?
I definitely think it's a part of the game. I'm a true believer, and myself coaching this past year, and not being in the profession anymore. I'm a true believer of, when you're on the other side of that ball, you have to just prepare and coach your team, And Coach Meyer was just coaching his team and doing his job. And you can't really worry about the other team and what they're thinking and what they're going through. You have to just coach your team. And who's to say, we need to work on our field goal unit or whatever the case may be. But, you can never... I'm just a true believer where you can never point it to sportsmanship because to me, it's good sportsmanship because we could have, easily dropped back into a bomb or run a reverse or given the ball to Percy again, but we chose to kick a field goal. So, there's different ways to look at it. He chose to look at it that way, but like I said, I don't choose to use the sportsmanship role because you coach your team to win and, the opposite coach does the same, and that's all you can ask for.